I'm about to tell you why I believe Paige Bueckers will be signing some type of airline private charter flight deal very soon. And if it's not already in the works, well, in your next board meeting, just put my video up there and I'll explain to your board members why you need to be trying to figure out how to sign Paige Bueckers to a deal. One thing we have known about Paige Bueckers this summer is that she was on a Paige Bueckers world tour, okay? The girl was everywhere, every single sports moment. New York Fashion Week, she was traveling, all right? And she was asked about that during UConn media availability, how her summer went. And she kind of laughed and chuckled because she was like, my summer was great. First real summer, not having to rehab, being healthy, I took advantage of it. She also said everyone saw the world tour, but they didn't see the work tour, meaning don't just think because I was traveling that I wasn't getting the work in. I was getting it in as I was traveling. The running joke this entire summer has been that Paige is always traveling somewhere that people started to wonder, is she in class? She was recently at the LA Chargers game and she ended up tweeting, yes, I am at a sporting event in LA, and yes, I will be in class tomorrow a.m. in Connecticut. She then posted on her story that she was indeed in class at 9 a.m. and she said, thank you at NFL made it. Meaning, y'all ain't got to worry about me. I'm handling my business while I'm traveling. Now, if I was working for Delta, Southwest Airlines, American Airlines, a private charter flight company, and I was in the boardroom and we're trying to figure out how to expand our reach, how do we put more money into the women's basketball game, I would be sitting there and saying, we need to call Paige Bueckers because she has indeed made herself synonymous with a Paige Bueckers world tour while also being a very elite basketball player. So I'm going to explain to you why I believe Delta should be number one on the list of trying to get Paige Bueckers some type of NIL or brand partnership deal very, very, very soon. You did not know Delta is the official airline of the WNBA. So if I was Delta and I was in the boardroom and we're sitting there talking about how do we expand our love, our partnership, our relationship with the WNBA, how do we keep pouring into the women's game, I'm looking directly at someone like Paige Bueckers. We're talking about someone who is now synonymous with traveling. She is known for being places. That makes sense if you're an airline company. Now, if I was also Delta, I can already see the rollout of how this would make sense with a Paige Bueckers, but also with other WNBA stars. There's two different rollouts that Delta could potentially do if they were to sign Paige or to sign multiple WNBA stars, and I'm gonna tell you both. Just walk with me here because I can see it, okay? Now, if you wanted to introduce the partnership with Delta and Paige, I would start with one singular post, and it could either be her at the front desk or she could be in the Delta Sky Lounge, sitting in a chair, legs crossed, picture of the back of her or the back of her at the front desk, kind of to have this mystery for people to wonder who it is, but also enough symbolism that people will know that it's her. From there, I would put the caption, wonder where the world tour will land next. And from there, just kind of let that really engage, get people going and talking. Keep walking with me because this is where it's going to get good. Now, if I was Delta and I said, how do we actually introduce this partnership with her in video form? That is where I believe simple is the best route. One option is I would have Paige go through TSA, just her, and I would have her take off her shoes, put everything in the bucket, the entire 9 that you do in TSA, while having some type of elevator music in the background and having her go through that very much symbolic and specific things to her that are being placed into the bucket. So as viewers, we know it's her, and having her do the whole thing. And that's how you introduce it that, hey, we have partnered with Paige Bueckers. Now, second video option that you could possibly do to introduce the partnership, Delta and Paige Bueckers, I would have some type of, again, very cinematic, slow burn type of video, elevator music still very much there as she is boarding her flight and having to go through the aisles, hearing her say, excuse me, having the shot all on her feet, kind of viewing the back of her where we're still wondering, well, who is this? Even though we know it's gonna be her. And as she's putting her carry-on up there and she sits next to some kid or maybe another family and they look at her and they're like, Paige? And she's like, yeah, it's me, or something in that where she's interacting with other passengers on the plane, but it still has that feel of this is a relationship, this is a partnership with us and her. In me saying this, Delta could also go a step forward in signing multiple WNBA stars while also adding in high-profile women's college basketball players like a Juju Watkins and having them all have their own Delta commercial where they are still going and boarding the plane or them all going through the airport. I can even see a commercial where like someone's running through the airport to get to the gate, but they're all going to end up at the same gate, and it's a whole big pan shot of them as they're boarding the plane and also kind of showing their own experiences as they're going to get on the flight. I can see that too, where that makes a lot of sense. As I'm saying this though, there could be a conversation where a private or charter flight company actually wants to also give Paige a deal, because this has been done in the college football space, but not in women's basketball. For example, Carson Beck, quarterback for Georgia, has a private jet deal with Airstar Elite. Jackson Dart has a NIL deal with Nicholas Air, innovative private air travel, and Quinn Ewers, quarterback for Texas, also has this same NIL deal. So if I was in the boardroom of any of these airlines or these private charter flight companies, and in the agenda of the meeting, it is how do we keep investing in women's sports? How do we keep investing in women's basketball? How do we keep expanding our portfolio of partnerships? I'm going to sit there, raise my hand and say, well, I know exactly what we need to do. We need to invest in women's basketball players. This could be collegiate or in the WNBA. And we should have a roster of partnerships and relationships that we want with these women. And at the top of that list, I would have Paige Bueckers. Yes, absolutely. If you're an airline, private charter flight company, you need to be calling Paige Bueckers very, very soon.